Hey everybody, it's Valerie from Very Random Valerie, and it's still Thursday, February 8th, 2024. Tonight I thought I would share with you an unusual experience I had at work one day. About 8 years ago, a friend of mine who owned a restaurant knew that I had recently considered going back to work after having raised my two daughters, and he offered me a job. And I told him, having never done it before, I wasn't sure that I would like it. And I wanted to think about it, but I accepted the job under the consideration that if I didn't like the job, or if they weren't satisfied with me, that we would part ways and still be friends and no hard feelings. So I took the job, and I was there for about 2 years. After about a year of being there, I was pretty familiar with all the comings and goings, all the locals, and how the place operated and all of that. And we didn't have too many, uh, people that I wasn't familiar with coming in there, except maybe on the weekends when the lake people would come up from Atlanta, people who had their lake house up here. And anyway, so we served breakfast and lunch. And there was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 hours between the end of breakfast and the beginning of lunch. Most people stayed away, and they wouldn't come to eat lunch. They might get there 10 or 15 minutes early, and that was the max. So the rest of the time, I'd spend my time, working the dining room, going into the pantry, prepping food, all kinds of stuff, trying to get ready for lunch and prepping the hot bar. Well, a man walks in about an hour before it's going to be lunchtime, and I say, "Hey," when he walks in. I hear them walk in the door, and I holler at him. I say, "It's going to be about an hour before lunch," and I got no reaction. He walked straight over to the table that was nearest the TV that was not on. And usually people go to sit in that particular spot because they're interested in watching the TV. He didn't, he was a very average looking person. I'm using the word person with a question mark. Um, he looked very average. He was average height, average looks, brown hair, kind of wavy. He was wearing a navy blue, I don't know what you call it, but it's like a jumper that mechanics maybe wear to protect their clothing, that zips up the front and sometimes has a little badge thing that has their name written on it. But I don't recall that this man had the badge thing with the name on it. And he went and sat down at this table and didn't ask for the TV to be on. He was emotional. He showed no emotion. He didn't smile. He was very flat. I kept going about my business, and I noticed that he just seemed to be observing and looking at things. And I got the weirdest vibe from him. It was like he had just landed on this planet. He wasn't sure where he was, and I'm not even sure if he knew what the establishment was. And anyway, it was just, I got a peculiar vibe from him. Anyway, when it was getting close to lunchtime, I thought I'd give him a menu so he could look at it to decide, maybe make some decisions about what he wanted to eat for lunch. And so we took it, and I don't think he even looked at it. When it was lunchtime, I went up to him and I asked him, if I could take his order. And he really seemed confused, as if he didn't even understand the words that I was speaking to him. And so I pointed out a few things on his menu, and I think he grunted something like this or whatever, but he said something, and I heard his voice, and his voice did not sound like any dialect that I was familiar with. And I was a big, at the time, foreign film watcher. I loved foreign films, and I grew up in Atlanta, and I knew a lot of people from a lot of different countries. But this sounded almost mechanical or electronic. It was very strange. It sounded so strange that I actually looked to see if he had a tracheotomy or something. And that, along with the creepy vibe, the way he just kind of observed, the way, just his whole demeanor, it made me feel like I was talking to someone who had just literally landed on this planet. I don't know if you've had anything unusual like this happen before in your life, but if you have, it'd be amazing if you would drop it down in the comments below and share it with me, because this was one for the books. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great rest of the evening. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.